Okay, I have a teaching today. I guess it's with the all that's going on around us, the COVID-19 and death and dying. I think all that has been said about it, I think more needs to be said. I think people just need to be informed. People need to hear a different perspective, different point of view. There's so much misinformation, and there's good information and bad information. And we need to know the difference between the two, and we need to build our lives on the right information. So, the question that I want to start out with is, in this whole COVID-19 thing, is who is the government trying to protect? Is it me? Is it you? 90% of all the deaths come from or are people that have the one figure that I read is 2.6 other factors in their lives that would cause them to die. They get COVID-19 and they already have 2.6 other reasons why they are dying. This is 90%. We have a total of 276,000 deaths. I would suggest that's probably lower, because there are incentives for hospitals and for politicians and others who are going to profit by the number of deaths, believe it or not. There is an incentive to have that death toll higher, to prove that we need for the politicians to prove that we need them to take care of us. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that. 276,000 deaths. I have no idea how many of those numbers should not be included in that death toll. Could be a lot. I don't know. Anyway, there's 14 million cases of COVID-19 reported, and that is probably to be a lot higher. There's a lot of people who don't even know they have it. I know personally many people who never knew they had it until they got tested. And there's also false testing, false positives. The numbers aren't terribly reliable, but it's what we have to work with. If you remove the 90% of people that die from having a comorbidity, that leaves about somewhere in the neighborhood of 25,000 people that have died from COVID-19. That's 25,000 people who are very healthy or relatively healthy. That's not a whole lot of people. It's a shame and it's not good, but it kind of helps us to have an idea as to what is going on here, and that healthy people aren't dying, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Healthy people are not dying. I'm 70 years old. I feel like if I got it, I stand an excellent chance of not dying. And I would say that of anybody of any age. If you're healthy, you're probably not going to die. And the healthier you are, the less you're going to suffer from this thing. There's case after case after case of people getting it and just experiencing mild symptoms. I know personally of people that have experienced just what I've been expressing here, just mild symptoms. And yes, there is the other end of it, the other side of it. People are dying, but I think the focus has been too much on death and dying as opposed to people who are living life and not succumbing to the worst part of COVID-19. So how are they protecting this 90%? Well, it's with the lockdown. It's with depriving us of our freedoms. It's with denying people the right to make a living, denying people many of their rights. I'm asking the question, is the cure worse than the disease? And personally, I'm one that thinks that the cure is worse than the disease. It's causing a lot of problems. Well, yeah, so, we're willing to put up with a lot of stuff from the government and the lockdown and what's going on in the name of saving lives. But I want to offer a different perspective here, or another perspective, in that, what is it that we do tolerate and put up with? What is it that we tolerate, accept, live with, and ignore? And I just went online and got some statistics, and it was kind of interesting. From the World Health Organization, we have 3 million people a year die from harmful use of alcohol worldwide. 5.3% of all human deaths annually worldwide. We've got 655,000 that die from heart disease right here in the United States. We have 77,000 people that die from drug overdoses. We have 95,000 who die in the United States from alcohol-related deaths. In a way, these are all acceptable. Alcohol could be, and I'm not advocating it, but I wish it would happen. Alcohol could be banished. It could, like in prohibition. We know that that's not going to work. So in a way, these 95,000 deaths are, somewhat acceptable, tolerated. 7.5 million people die worldwide from tobacco. 480,000 plus a year die from tobacco right here in the United States of America. 34 million people have diabetes. There's 80,000 deaths that are connected with that diabetes. And just out of interest, for a monetary cost, that costs us $760 billion a year in medical costs. 2.8 million a year die in the world from obesity. There are, in the United States, 280,000 plus that die that are attributed to obesity in the United States. Certainly, anyway, 36,000 auto deaths, but that's not astronomical. It's a shame, but we do tolerate it. We say that it's basically a trade-off. We have the right to drive. We want to drive, and we kill 36,000 to 40,000 people a year in auto accidents. We put up with it. But one of the facts that kind of interested me and was a little bit of a shocker to me was that there are 4.4 million injuries per year through auto accidents and 2.2 million permanent injuries in auto accidents. Where is the outrage? Where is the lockdown on all these deaths? It makes all this COVID stuff pretty small in the scheme of things. In the scheme of things in death, in the scheme of things of death and dying, COVID-19 it's a shame that it's happening. It's a shame that people are dying. But where is our focus? Our focus is on COVID-19, but we choose to ignore or not take too serious all the other factors, all the other diseases, all the other causes of death worldwide and right here in River City. It just proves that the media wants to focus on things that the bad news. The media just wants to focus on the bad news. It's helping a lot of people's political careers. It's certainly helping the media in that people want to know, what the latest death toll is. Who and what is doing what to who about COVID-19. It's just big news. It's just big news. So where is the outrage and the lockdown for these other things? Well, it's not going to happen. It's just going to go on and on and on. And we're going to try our best to make the numbers go down. But again, our focus is on this COVID-19. Again, 90% of the deaths, the 276,000 deaths, are people that are not doing too well anyway. Old, perhaps, and mostly old, and mostly with a comorbidity to go along with the COVID-19. There you go. Okay, in trying to save lives, we have caused a whole different kind of misery. Suicides are up. Business failures are definitely up. Alcoholism is up. Domestic violence is up. Mental health issues are growing. People are deprived of making a living. Unemployment is up. We're incurring more debt, private, public and private, government, and you and me. Children are deprived of a normal life and education. There's fear, great amount of fear in the people that I see walking around. They walk around with masks. They even with the masks on, they'll step off the sidewalk if they see me coming, and they'll make sure that they give me lots of distance. The chance of contracting this disease is just a bump above 0%, maybe not even a bump above 0% in the when you're walking in the outdoors. When you're living and breathing and moving in the outside, people are just afraid. People are just downright afraid. We have been deprived of so many of our freedoms. There's further division of a nation that's already divided. There's the people, the maskers and the non-maskers. There's people like me who, hey, I want to live life. And there's people that won't leave their house, too afraid to. Panic. There's, one of the downsides is panic. I mean, shame on you, you people who go out and buy all that toilet paper. Shame on you. We should be ashamed. We should be ashamed of ourselves for all that we have brought down on ourselves in the name of saving lives in this lockdown, when, again, so many other things are a factor in taking our lives away from us, taking loved ones away from us. So many other things. And we just choose to focus on COVID-19. We just don't fear the right things. We do not fear the right things. We need to fear God above all. But we don't fear the duplicity and the hypocrisy that has been dumped upon us by our politicians and by the news media. I can't, all you have to do is look at the sports page. If you're a guy, you probably do. Women, let me just tell you that most every day there is the news of how many people on a sports team have gotten COVID-19, and how many in the front office have gotten COVID-19, and how they've shut down because somebody or several people have gotten COVID-19. Yet, they're so quick to report that people have gotten it, but you don't hear about, they just got a mild cough, they had a headache, they're fine. Basically, they're fine. They're fit, healthy, and fine. They're going to be in isolation for a couple of weeks, and they'll be back as strong as ever. Well, you don't hear about that. You just hear everybody's going to die. So, why duplicity and hypocrisy? Why can I go to Home Depot? Why can I go to the beach? Why can I go to the supermarket? Why can I go here and there and a lot of other places, and the places I'm talking about, and not be too bothered, just have to wear a mask? Why can I do that? But yet in the email, I got an email from the city of Los Angeles, the golf courses in the city of LA. For a while there, you could golf, but you had to wear a mask, and you couldn't touch the flagpole. You couldn't touch the flagpole. So it had a sign on it that said you can't pull it out. Don't touch the flagpole. Now they're saying you can't play golf unless you're playing with people from the house, your own household. I mean, this is how ridiculous. And then we've got a curfew. We got a governor that doesn't even follow his own rules. Goes out and parties. At a very expensive restaurant, and does it maskless. Duplicity and hypocrisy. I'm confused. I'm confused. We can go to church, maskless, but I can't play golf. I can protest, probably maskless, but I can't play golf. I can't, I can't have, what's the latest? You can't have members for Thanksgiving, for Christmas. You can only have a certain number of people in your house, and they have to be family and or have to live in your household. It boggles the mind. It boggles the mind. When this first happened, I turned to my wife, and when I started to realize that about this 90% figure that are dying, and basically unhealthy people or people with problems, and a lot of them can't do anything about some of their health issues, but there's an awful lot that can. There's an awful lot that can. But it's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call. This COVID-19 is a wake-up call. We have a vaccine. We've had a vaccine, and it's been proven over and over again. It's called good health. That is our vaccine. It's called good health. If you take care of yourself and stay healthy and well and do the right thing, eat the right things, exercise just a little bit, you're probably going to be just fine. We found this out probably in March or April of this year in the aircraft carrier Roosevelt. The aircraft carrier Roosevelt, obviously, is a military ship, Navy, and there was an outbreak of COVID-19 on it. And I think the number is about 4,000 men on this ship, averaging an age of 27 years old. And 1,300 plus tested positive of this COVID-19. And of the 1,300 plus, I think under 2% had to be hospitalized. I think I'm getting my figures correct, but just let me throw this in. You need to do some research, as I have done. You need to go and see for yourself just what's going on and what the real story is. Anyway, so just under 2% went in the hospital, maybe on respirators and doing what we all are made fearful of about this thing, and that we come close to death through this because of this. But again, this under 2%, they had issues. They had medical issues as well as COVID-19. But they all recovered. They all recovered. There was one death. I failed to see or to look up and see exactly what this person's condition was. I suspect he had something else wrong with him. But anyway, there was one death. And it just went to prove that what I'm saying is that all these people, they came back and they were fine. They were fine. One death. And if you're healthy, which you've got to believe that they were healthy, and they're military men, from a reasonable fitness to really fit, they had the vaccine, and they proved that it worked. Health, good health. Are we being held hostage by the 90% comorbidity people who have died and are going to die? Are you and me, the healthy, being held hostage by these people? Yeah. Would it be unreasonable to hold them accountable for not taking care of themselves and driving up the death toll and causing us, the healthy people of these United States, to pay a price? Do people have a moral obligation to stay healthy? This, I wouldn't have thought, given that thought, too much thought, prior to this COVID-19 outbreak. But yes, people, I think, I have a moral obligation to stay healthy. I have a moral obligation to stay healthy for you, so that I don't contract and put a heavy toll on hospitals and our medical system, so that I live and I live a productive life. There's so much writing on people staying healthy. If we were all unhealthy, this nation would probably go nowhere. We wouldn't be able to do anything. We would be unhealthy, unfit, and wouldn't be able to work. The reality is the more unhealthy you are, the less you work, the less you can work, the less productive you are, and on and on. You get the picture. Like I said, people that have these comorbidities that are dying, some of them can't do anything about it, granted. But again, I want to say it again, a lot of them can. A lot of them can. I have a very close relative who has diabetes and probably if they got it, wouldn't do so well with the COVID. They're 80 years old, and and they acknowledge that they aren't healthy and that they could do something about it. But I would say that the death toll probably, I'm guessing, again, it's up to you to figure out if I'm right or wrong, but I think we could probably cut the whole death toll in half, minimum, in half, if people would just be healthy. The people that could be healthy would be healthy. What would it do to the numbers in the hospital? It would drive the people that are taking up beds who are sick and dying in the hospitals. It would reduce that number. That's one of the driving forces behind the lockdown, is so we don't overwhelm the medical system. So, again, I think it's a moral obligation for people to stay fit and healthy. I read happiness is a big issue or something by Dennis Prager, and he said happiness is a moral obligation. If you're happy, I think you're going to be fit. If you're going to be fit, if you're a happy person, truly happy, I think fitness breeds happiness. Fitness equals happiness. If we can't take care of ourselves, or we won't take care of ourselves, then sickness and disease and depression and the cruelty, and sickness and disease and the cruel things of life will take care of you. That was kind of convoluted. I'll say it again. If we can't or won't take care of ourselves, then sickness and disease and depression and the cruel things of life will. They'll take care of you. The void will be filled. That void that's left there in your life of being unhealthy, and bad health creates a void, and something wants to fill it. And that, like I read those things. That void's going to get filled. And it's going to get filled with bad, nasty things. This brings up the point of spiritual fitness. We need to be spiritually fit. That void will be filled with other garbage if it's not filled with the right things. Your spirit needs to be healthy. Did God have laws against being unfit? Well, I think kind of, that back then, way back then in biblical times, if you're the Israelites wandering around in the desert, I would suggest to you that you probably wouldn't last too long. You got to keep up with the gang. Sure, there's people to help you and get through your problems, but I don't suppose there were a whole lot of really fat people wandering around the desert. Maybe that's a little over the top, but you get the picture. The world is kind of made for you to be fit. If you want to enjoy the world, if you want to enjoy the things of life, then you're going to be fit. Daniel There was a lot said about Daniel's fast and the way Daniel ate. I think I know he outlived at least 2 kings, maybe 3. Lived to a ripe old age. And there was it was kind of stressed that he ate right, Because of modern medicine, we have a false security and a false or a perceived right to not just life, but a long life. This is what's driving a lot of this, is that we have a right to life. We have a right to a long life. We have a right to not get sick. And this is wrong thinking. In the past, if you weren't fit, you probably suffered a lot and or died. In extreme cases like COVID-19, that's holding out to be true. People took a lot more responsibility for their lives, just not so long ago, 50, 60, 70 years ago. I think people, if they wanted to live, they took responsibility for their lives or they died. There wasn't all this modern medicine to keep them alive. So, the alternative is you were healthy and fit. COVID-19 revokes your right to life. If you think you have a right to life and you haven't lived a healthy, responsible life, then it revokes your right to life. And a lot of people are very upset about that. Just throw this in. You probably don't want to go to the hospital because annually, if you have COVID-19, you probably want to stay out of the hospital. Annually, 440,000 preventable deaths are from hospital errors. How safe are the hospitals? Are you safer at home with your COVID-19, or are you at risk in the hospital? Modern medicine has put us in a non-reality bubble, in an artificial setting. The COVID-19 has kind of burst that bubble. It's all of a sudden we realize modern medicine isn't the end all. It isn't the thing that's going to save us in a lot of instances. It's a bit of an illusion, our modern medicine. Modern medicine has given us years we don't, I don't know if this is the right word, but it's given us years we don't deserve, or we shouldn't have, or artificially. It's given us years artificially. It keeps people alive when they really shouldn't be. I'm not saying that that's good or bad. I'm just saying it's a fact. What if something bad happens to us? What's your expectation, as far as physical or health-wise? Our expectation is that we'll get fixed. We'll get fixed. Doctor will fix me up. There's nothing the doctors can't do. That's a bad expectation. And it's not a good premise to live by. The expectation, and if the doctor doesn't fix us, then we'll sue him. We'll sue him. I thought of Jesus. He heals a man of blindness, but he puts mud on his eyes, and the man opens his eyes, and Jesus says, "What do you see?" And he says, "Well, I see trees walking." And so his vision isn't totally fixed. So Jesus probably says to himself, "Wow, I better fix this guy or he'll sue me." I better complete the job or I'll get sued for malpractice. So Jesus went ahead and gave him complete, total, 100% good eyesight. That's not the way it says in the Bible. But is our expectation that we be given or have a right to good health, or that we earn our health? We need to earn our health. We need to work on our health. We need to make it important. Again, we need to know that it is a moral responsibility to society. Okay, we are so worried about dying that we have forgotten how to live. We are so worried about dying that we've forgotten how to live. Granted, there are a lot of people out, probably more than usual because they've been laid off or they can't go to work or whatever. They're out running around and they're out, jogging and staying fit. But there are all too many more that have forgotten how to live, who are afraid of even going out. That our purpose is to stay alive but not live. Are we so worried about dying that we have forgotten to live, that our purpose is to stay alive but not to live? Longevity versus living life. I don't know how, well, I don't want to die, but I could die tomorrow, and I've lived a pretty full life, good life. Taken a lot of risks, done a lot of things. Then there are those who only live to shorten their lives through neglect or blatant disdain for the healthier things of life, physical and spiritual. I'll just end it with this. Gratitude heals. We are and taught in our schools to be an ungrateful people. I think there are too many people who are ungrateful, that do not have gratitude for what it is that we have here. If they were really grateful, we would fight harder for our rights, we would fight harder for our health, we would fight harder for the good things of life. But I just don't think that people are all that grateful. They are, they expect things to be given to them rather than being grateful for what they have. We want more. We want more. We want longer life. We want more years, but we are not willing to put in the effort to get them. We are not grateful. I think gratitude would go a long, long way. Gratitude for your life would go a long way in overcoming COVID-19. With that, I will say adios and goodbye. Live life to the fullest. Take some risks. Life without risks is nothing. It's dead. That's my personal opinion. Prove me wrong. You need to live life and go live life. Love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.